Hello children, how are you? I think you all are fine and in good health. So let's start our class with a little warm up. Rub your hands, touch your cheeks, take deep breath. Okay? So let's begin. Okay? Start. Now we are starting on with our class 10's first chapter, Real Numbers Part 3. Okay? Now, before starting this chapter, today's session, I would like to draw your attention to a number, any perfect square, okay? Like say 64, okay? Now 64, what are its factors? Like you can say 2, 4, 8, right? Now if I say, what is the base of 64? 8 8s are 64, that we all know, okay? Now, you see, I can divide what is a prime number among the factors. Which prime number divides 64? 2. Okay, right? Now let us divide 64 by 2. Okay, is it divisible or not? Let's check. Yes, it's divisible. It's coming as 32. Right? Similarly, what is the base of 64? Base of 64 is 8. Right? Now, if we divide 8 by, let's see, 8 is divisible by 2 or not. Yeah, right? 8 is also divisible by 4. Right? So, what we can conclude from this explanation that any perfect square which is divisible by a prime number, that prime number will also divide its base also. Right? Now let's check with any other number. Okay? Let's see. Let's take other number like 81. Okay? 81. What are its factors? 81's factor? We can say 3. We can say 9. Right? Now, 81, which prime number divides 81? 3. Right? Now, 3 means what it will come? 27. Right? Now, what is the base of 81? As it is a perfect square, it will have a base. What is the base of 81? It is 9. Now let's see whether this prime number divides 9 or not. Yes, of course it divides. Right? Got it? So which means from this we come to a conclusion, we come to a theorem. Okay, what is the theorem? The theorem is if a number, if a perfect square let the perfect square be if a perfect square P, okay, perfect square P square is divisible by a prime number, let the prime number be A, okay? Prime number A, if a perfect square is divisible by a prime number A, then the base of the perfect square, which means P, perfect square that is P will also be divisible by A. Will also be divisible by A. Right? So, or we can say, if P is a prime number which divides A square, then P divides A where A is a positive integer. Okay, this is a theorem of, this is another theorem. And why do we need this theorem? Let's see. Why do we need this theorem and what are its utility? Let's see how we can utilize the theorem to create one, how to utilize the theorem to create one, solve one problem. Okay, what type of problems can be solved by using this? If I give you a number like root 2, let's see root 2 is irrational or not. Okay, root 2 is irrational or not. We'll use the theorem that we have already stated. Okay, using that theorem we will try to prove a number whether it is irrational or not. Whenever a number is given to prove irrational or not, we have to, from beginning itself, we have to assume that the number is rational. Okay, so what is a rational number? What are its characteristics by which we can understand that a number is rational? First thing is that it should come in P by Q form. P and Q should be co-prime. Co-prime means there should be no common factor other than 1. Okay, and third thing is that Q cannot be 0. Okay, keeping all these things in mind, let's see. Okay, let root 2 be, root 2 be rational. Okay, let root 2 be rational number. So if it is rational number, that means root 2 can be expressed in P by Q form, right? If root 2 is rational, then it can be expressed in P by Q form. Okay, next. Now see, root 2 we can't do any operation like that way. So what we will do, we will squaring both sides. Okay, squaring both sides. If I square both sides, what do I get? I get 2 is equal to P square by Q square. Right? Square of root 2 is what? 2. And square of P is what? P square, and square of Q is Q square. Okay? Next. Or 2Q square is equal to P square. Right? Now see, by a theorem, now the theorem will come into play over here. See, 2Q square is equal to P square. That means what? P is divisible by Q, 2. Right? P square is, therefore P square is divisible by 2. Right? P square is divisible by 2, and by the theorem we know that if P square is divisible by 2, that means P will also be divisible by 2, right? So it will be P is divisible by 2, right? Now let us take, if P by 2, let us assume that the answer will come as some integer. Okay, let that be C. Or we can say from here that P will be equal to 2C. Right? P will be equal to 2C. Now this thing I'll be substituting over here. Okay, let's see what it comes. So let's see how it comes. I'm erasing out this part. Okay, So where was I? 2 is equal to p square q square, or 2q square is equal to p square. So what did I tell? Instead of p square, I'll be writing over here now 2c. Okay, 2c whole square. Instead of p, I have just written 2c. So 2q square is equal to 2c whole square, which means q square is equal to 4c square. Or q square is equal to 2c square. So from here we can see that as 2q square is equal to 2c square, so which means 2 divides q also. 2 divides q square, which means 2 divides q. Now previously we had seen what? 2 divides p square. So 2 divides p. So if p and q both have a common factor 2, which means q as p and q has a common factor 2, which means p and q are not co-primes. In my previous videos I have already stated that for this number to be rational, the p, they have to be in p by q form. Q cannot be 0 and p and q cannot be co-primes. So here there is a contradiction. So p is being divided by 2, again q is also being divided by 2. That means they are having a common factor 2. So which means it is not possible to have, which means root 2 is irrational. Okay. So whenever we have a problem like this, how do we proceed? First, the number that is given to prove whether it is rational or irrational, we have to assume it as rational, and then we have to convert it, we have to equalize it with in the p by q form, and we have to square both sides, and then we have to proceed and see. Okay, we have to see that there exists any common factor or not. If there is a common factor, it cannot be a rational number, it has to be an irrational number. This is the technique of solving this type of problems. Now next we have a problem, that is prove 3 plus 2 root 5 is irrational. Okay, our question is prove 3 plus 2 root 5 is irrational. Now how to solve this type of problems where one operator is given? Okay, the problem is we will solve like the previous method only, little bit of change will be there. Now see, what did I tell? Whenever this type of problem is given, we have to assume that the number given as rational. Okay, so let us assume 3 plus 2 root 5 is rational. Okay, we have to assume 3 plus 2 root 5 as rational. Which means what? This can be expressed in p by q form. So we'll express it 3 plus 2 root 5 is equal to p by q. Okay, and this p and q will be integers and q cannot be equal to 0, and of course they have to be co-primes. Okay, next step, which means what? We can say 2 root 5 is equal to p by q minus 3, right? Or we can say root 5 is equal to, we can bring the 2 down. Okay, before that let us is it or not? This will be, if we just break this one, this is going to come. Okay, now let's bring this to this side. Okay, so root 5 will be what? Is equal to p minus 3q by q. As this is coming this side, so it will, in form of multiplication, it will come in form of division, which means 1 by 2, or we can write as directly over here 2, right? Now see, we have assumed this p as integer, q as integer, only then we can say this is rational. 3 is already rational, and 2 when we multiply, this is also rational. As p minus 3q by 2q is rational, right? But we know that what? Root 5 is not rational. Root 5 is not rational. So which means, now this side is irrational, this side is rational, it can't be. So which means this number which means three plus 2 root 5 is irrational. Understood? Now we come to the end of the chapter, but before coming to the end, we have one theorem to remember. Actually 3 theorems are given, but only one, if you remember, you can memorize the other 2 also. You just need to understand that all are having the same meaning. Okay, what is it? Now suppose x is a rational number. Okay, x is a rational number, which means x can be expressed in p by q form. Okay, if x is a rational number and x can be expressed in p by q form, where p and q are co-primes. Okay, p and q are co-primes, q is not equal to 0, right? Then the decimal expansion of x will terminate only if q is in form of 2 to the power n, 5 to the power m, where n and m are integers. Okay, this is the thing, that if x is a rational number and x can be expressed in p by q form, where p and q are co-primes. Okay, rational means only it can be expressed in p by q form, and p by q has to be integers and co-primes, and q cannot be 0. Then the decimal expansion of x will terminate only if q is in form of 2 to the power n and 5 to the power n, where m and n are integers. Now see, the second theorem is just this statement only, but in a different way it is stated, that division can be stated as it will terminate only if it is in only if the q is in 2 to the power n and 5 to the power n form. Okay, and if it is not, then the decimal expansion will not terminate. What is the meaning of decimal expansion? Decimal expansion means like when we divide 1 by 3. Okay, when we divide 1 by 3, that is 3 I am dividing. Okay, this, when I divide, the quotient will never come to an end. Okay, that means what? This form I am transferring it into decimal form, and this is known as decimal expansion. This will come to an end, or end means what? At last somewhere we will get remainder as 0. This will happen or that will not happen, that depends on this number q. Okay, the denominator. The denominator, if the denominator is in form of 2 to the power n and 5 to the power m, where m and n are integers. Now see, you might be thinking, what is this? What is this is so very tough. But you just remember, you just think about 2 into 5 is how much? It is 10, right? So any multiple of 10, okay, any multiple of 10, if it is there in the denominator, then only we can find that its decimal form, right? So this is what is stated in the theorem. Suppose I give you a number as 35 by 50. Okay, now this can be expressed how? 7 into 5. 35 means 7 into 5, and this one means what? 5 into 10. Okay, or we can write what? 7 into 5 by 5 into 2 into 5, right? Or we can say 7 by 2 into 5. Now see, 2 to the power n, here n is 1, and 5 to the power m, here m is 1. So as this can be expressed in as the denominator is coming in 2 to the power n into 5 to the power n form, so this we can say that without solving only we can say that decimal expansion will terminate. Right? Now let's see another problem. Okay, little hard one. Okay, now if I give you a number as 36 by 63, okay, 36 by 63. 36 how can I express in prime factor? 2 into we can say it as 12 into 3 by 63, 7 into 9, okay, which means what? So it will be what? 4 by 7, right? 4 by 7. Now see, here the denominator is not coming in form of 2 to the power n into 2 to the power m, 5 to the power n, right? So we can say decimal expansion will not terminate. Okay, we need not to do the division itself. From here only we can understand that decimal expansion will terminate or decimal expansion will not terminate. Okay, we have come to the end of the chapter. So at the end of the chapter I have a few questions for you. First is prove that the numbers are rational or irrational. As I've solved the previous problems, similarly you have to just whatever number is given, you have to put it in, you have to equalize it into p by q form, and after that you have to see, you have to either, if operator is present, then you have to take the numbers or whatever operand is given to the other side and bring the and check whether it is rational or irrational. Okay, second one is without performing divisions show that decimal expansion will terminate or not. There are 3 fractions I have given. Each fraction you need to check whether it is coming in all the denominators are coming in 2 by 2 to the power n into 5 to the power m form or not. If it is not coming, you can put you can rationalize both the numerator and denominator. You can multiply both the numerator and denominator with the same number. Like here one I am helping you out, that is 17 by 8, right? 17 by 8 we can tell what? 8 means 2 to the power 3. Now see, here 5 is not given. Okay, 2 to the power n form is present, but 5 to the power m form is not there. So what we will do? We will multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 5 to the power n. Any number you can put, you have to put the number, the power that is there in 2. Okay, same power you have to multiply by 5 also. Like 2, if I am here, I am using 2 to the power, here I am using 2 to the power 3, then I have to use 5 to the power 3 only. Like I am showing you, 17 is equal to 2 to the power 3. Okay, as 3 is given, so I will multiply both numerator and denominator by 5 to the power 3 only. Okay, so this is coming as 17 into 5 to the power 3, okay, by 10 to the power 3. Okay, and accordingly, as this is you have to state that it is in p by q, here the decimal will be, this expansion will come to an n. Okay, as this is in this form only. Okay, this way you have to solve the 3 problems that I have given you. Okay, so as I have solved this one already, so I will be changing the question to 15 by 1600. Okay, 15 by 1600. So that's all for today's video. Okay, we'll be coming up with the next chapter. Practice and all the best.